Good evening. You are listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I am your host, Rob, broadcasting from the Extreme Studios Dojo in the Pinus Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. I have on the line with me tonight to cover Scott Adkins' 2009 Ninja movie, the one and only from the great Mendoza, as I like to say himself, RDV. And RDV, you and I love us some Ninja. We love all things canon. We've talked about that here extensively for 5 years plus now with all the Chuck Norris films, everything else we reviewed here on the channel. So check it out, ladies and gentlemen. But we decided to, with the action stuff, to say let's go into one of Scott Adkins' earlier movies, not earliest, and nothing Boyka or any of that. And that would be Ninja, because that's what we like. And I will say this. I think Scott Adkins is a very good-looking guy. I could see where sometimes I think he's a good actor and a shitty actor. He's a bit too flippity-floppy to me, but damn it, I also struggle because if you can do it, do it. This movie is a decent-looking movie. It's not bad, but when I think of Scott Adkins, I think of this. You and I have talked a lot about our 80s heroes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about how someone like a Steven Seagal, that even though his first few movies are great, he kind of took a shit, and then thankfully in the 90s he could go to VHS, and now there was a DVD sub-market. When I look at Scott Adkins, I go, this guy's probably done 100, 200 things already, and he's been in John Wick, and he's still waiting for a big break. I just don't get it with him. It's not a knock on a guy, because he's likable, and I've seen a lot of stuff. He's my go-to for going, I want to watch an action martial arts movie. Let me go find something with Scott Adkins' name on it. But it's not going to be God tier, but it's not shit tier. So it's hard to explain it, because he really sincerely does a great job of respecting all the people that came before him, because that's what made him do it, and he loves doing it. So I can't fault the guy, but what is it I'm trying to describe here, sir? I don't know, and I hope you can help me with it tonight.
So the problem with Scott Adkins, he's Michael Dudikoff without the comedy, and he's starring in canon films ripoffs. Ninja felt like a canon movie, felt like American Ninja. We had this evil corporation guy who had his own set of Templar Knights guys, basically was taking out the competition, and then if we had basically it was two movies in one.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the
if
problem
with on a Ninja one, like they start off at the beginning, that would have been great.
But this literally came across like this is CW Ninja, like a CW show. It was. Like, don't get me wrong.
Ninja?
Don't get me wrong. The best part about this movie is when he puts on the costume.
Yes.
Literally, because you could turn this into, and that's the thing. That's what Scott Adkins needs to be doing. He needs to be doing superhero comic book movies or something like that, because whatever he's doing, kind of like what did he do with that crappy what was that Universal Soldier Vengeance? What we're gonna do with and I was just like, man. Like, you're better off just taking the canon classic movies and just doing your own thing, He would be a bigger star, but the fact that these movies just don't hit like they used to. And not only that, you're going with the stupid, there's a scene where he's fighting against a bad guy on a rooftop of the New York City precinct. Yes. And it looks so horrible. CG background, everything.
It does.
It's like, just film it normal, like you would on a rooftop scene. Like they did in the 80s. They didn't use a CG backdrop. They actually fought on top of a parking structure or whatever. Like, just do that. Like I said, that's not. So it's this basically. His problem is that he's working in Hollywood films. Go to Hong Kong. God. Start doing Hong Kong movies over there. They're still doing action movies over there.
There's so much you're saying here that's so true, and I can't help but think that when this movie starts up, it's a good-looking movie. Yeah. The cinematography is very nice, most of it, I should say, because they start off on what it is, and again, it can be weak sauce, and I don't really care. It's how it's done that matters sometimes, but he's like this abandoned, white guy that got taken in by this guy, and it's actually not ninja; it's technically samurai school, right? And he's dressed in white, and then the one guy that doesn't like him, the master's daughter's got the hots for him, gets kicked out, vows revenge, and all this. Okay, whatever. It's nothing I hadn't seen before, or you don't know, right? But it was done well. And with them having their little fight, when they've got the long pants on, they're in the dirt, they've gotten the wood sticks on. I'm like, man, if this movie kept up kind of like this and just modernized it, that would be cool. But then, like to your point, they have in Vladivostok or whatever, Russia, that port there with the evil guys or whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute, you've just gone from this to like this occult looking thing, which is stupid. And look, there's something you said a long time ago that it really hits home here. It was about Jean-Claude Van Damme, JCVD. We love this guy. Super good looking guy, love his body, no homo, that kind of thing or whatever. But the one thing you said about it was, man, this is a guy that little boys and girls could watch because he's just got that natural, I'm a superhero kind of charisma where he could do movies and not swear and cuss and be graphic and disgusting and all that. And it would be a good, positive role model. I think Scott Adkins could do that too, because you're right. I think he should be in something a little more childish. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but this cross between him scowling and the blood and all that, it doesn't work.
Yeah, this literally felt like I was watching Power Rangers. The best way to describe it, the fighting, everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have the good guy and the bad guy, and then
the director did direct the Power Rangers. He's involved in a lot of stuff in here. Yeah, so that's why I think there's some good callbacks to that, right? So a lot of the scenes, you know, that were extended, and they had some of the remember you even talked about the zooms that the Power Rangers have, because I never really watched. I just knew Serena Vince was one of them, where they look from a certain angle that goes pow, right? The Power Rangers. That was definitely in there. I'm like, yeah, there you go.
So this guy did one thing, Zero Quest of Power Rangers. I didn't even watch that. That was like the later seasons or whatever those. So anyway, I was out after the first season. I was kind of bored because I was like 14. Yeah. This is like I'm not
again. If you're 10 or 12, that's kind of cool, right?
But you know what? You're watching Power Rangers Back in the Force. You're watching it for Amy Jo Johnson. That's what you're watching for. Anyway, so yeah. Here's the thing with Power Rangers. I'll quickly say this: Power Rangers, most kids were not watching for the actual American actors. We're watching the actual real Japanese show that they lifted all the scenes from. So yeah, Power Rangers was basically Saban ripped off other Japanese existing shows. Maybe doing the flips of martial arts over in Japan, and just basically clipped those scenes with new scenes he filmed with the teenagers.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's all it was. It was a big sham, and they still do it. And I'm just like, why would anybody want to watch this? Go back, watch the original Japanese thing, and it's so much better. It makes more sense too. But this, like I said, this is basically you had Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist. Sorry, because that's what it felt like. It was Americans, basically a kid, 20 years old. His dad was a Marine. They're stationed in Okinawa in Japan, and his parents divorced, and his mom left him behind. Boo hoo. And so he's raised from 12 years old, and under this guy's care, Sensei Takeda, and his daughter Nakimo also was there too, trained. So Casey grows up and becomes one of the most respectful, ninja. Basically, there, and he's in line to be taking over, to being the next ninja, the next leader of the dojo, and protecting this basically this sacred legendary armor. And of course, there's always the cliche, the bad guy in here. Oh, I love not only he took my girlfriend, the girl who doesn't know you exist, and then you took my spot. I'm like, well, here, guy. And this is such horrible writing on this. The reason the bad guy went after him because he's jealous for no reason whatsoever, just because he's an outsider. And so when they have these little dojo practice fights, he decides to bring real swords to this, and then he's so basically when he gets so here's this. So yeah, so when he gets not only does he get his ass kicked because he tries to throw a sword and basically Scott Adkins swings the sword, cuts him on his lip or cheek over, and then he gets the dojo, the sensei, he's like, oh, you're banished. You broke our rules. You insulted our.
You should have just whacked him, right?
And so no, seriously, listen. Let me finish. So he's like, you're disrespected. So you're banished from that. So he's like, no. What do you think was gonna happen?
He said a little tear in his eye, little bitch.
he's pounding the sand. You know what it felt like when someone who's been told no finally is told no. That's what it felt like. I was like, how many chances does this guy have? That he's pounding like a little teenager. Daddy punished me finally. It's not fair. I was supposed to take over the dojo. And I was like, it's so horrible. It's like, who thought of this would be good writing? But
Daddy didn't love me.
Yeah, so Daddy loved Outsider instead. I wonder why. It was like
He's clean cut. He's American,
and because he's not an asshole. He actually respected everything there too. So the whole thing is like, so then after this, a couple several years later, they want like, because this guy was kicked out, he decided to join this company called the Templars. They're based off they worship like the Templar Knights, whatever organization. They brand themselves. That's what they're the gang. They are in New York, and so he the bad guy. I'm gonna call him Mazda because like his name is just ridiculous in here. It's Mazazuka. Basically became their lead assassin. He's got his cool like arrow like secret identity thing. So basically like he puts a button and the panel slide and he has all his like his secret like ninja stuff, all stuff there. And he uses that. We get to see him like take out like some Russians, and then later on he puts it on again too. And he has these little like the slide like so basically they're night vision goggles. They on his mask he pulls it forward.
John Wick ripped off the industrial ninjas in here.
I'm saying John Wick has nothing to do with this.
I know, I'm messing with you.
No, honestly, like I said, like so I loved his suit. His suit was great for the bad guy.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like I would have had that the whole entire movie. Like remember we watched this with was it Revenge of the Ninja with Sho Kasagi?
Yep.
When they're fighting in like Los Angeles or on the building, whatever, and they the white versus the black ninja, like. That's what I wanted. If you're going for an 80s style, like kind of like stupid story plot, bring me something like that. Instead, it was just him making stupid decisions. Oh, our professor guy gets whacked by this mobsters guy. So then they flee, like they go to this hotel and it's like, here, I need money or stay at this hotel. They kick and like here's the comedy. They kick this. He's like, well, all right, I'll get you a room. And then he opens the door and it's like, time's up, and there's some guy in there with a prostitute. I'm like thinking, like, does this guy think that the girl he's with, the Japanese girl, is this prostitute? Like, is that supposed to be like their hint of this? Like, haha, funny? Because like, it just felt like someone who wrote this didn't understand like how to write a story. Because,
and it's okay if you write a story that's just paper thin.
Yeah,
but just don't make it that laughable in your face that takes away from looking like you're doing good.
Now understand. Oh my gosh, I just realized who wrote this. Michael Hurst. You should know that name. Hercules Legendary Journeys, Kevin Sorbo. He was Iolaus, the funny sidekick, the blonde.
Okay.
So he co-wrote this with some guy named Boaz Davidson, Israeli director and screenwriter. And that explains why it's so cheesy and bad. Because Michael Hurst is like better as an actor as Iolaus, but other than that, it's like no. And so anyway, overall, basically, bad guy ends up kidnapping the girl, and basically, so then he basically after this big old, after like they had the whole Terminator thing, cop scene, or scene, or because they both got arrested after fleeing, and you got Scott Adkins and this girl played by the beautiful actress. What's her name in here? Mika Hijii.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's the actress, and they're both.
She was pleasant.
Yeah, and she was pleasant. Yeah.
But now, she played a little bit.
She had a little bit of bad acting too. Is when she keeps calling her father because he called her up. He's like, hey, I just want to know that I love you, and don't whatever. Basically, like the father called her and told her like he's gonna die because this guy's coming to get the thing. Yep. Like they already left. So and like almost like she didn't understand it whatsoever. So she keeps calling his phone, while he's being slaughtered, she keeps calling, and the guy looks over. The bad guy's like, phone's ringing. Who's this? And then rings the phone, and then eventually I'm thinking like. It doesn't click in her head like, oh, maybe my father's dead. It's like, I don't know if she was in shock or whatever it was, if that was just the act they're going with. But I'm sure she's gotten better since then. This is 2009, because she's been into a lot more stuff. Like, what Laura, I said, there's actually a ninja knight kind of like show that she went into its movies too with that too. Which I said, over in Japan, Power Rangers stuff, types like that. Kamen Rider is very popular, and this kind of felt like they're going with that kind of route with this a little bit.
Right.
But
yeah, it's interesting because when you dive down into who's paying, I mean, who's the audience, right? We stay with Steven Seagal and we talk about how we always have 3-word titles and they're all the same thing. And he sits in a chair and all the stunt doubles does them, but his team and all that, they all made profits because like Kyrgyzstan and 1 or 2 other Kazakhstan type countries are like, man, we love this fucking guy or whatever. And also, I'm gonna be completely straight here without going too off the deep end. When you get incentives, which means grants, which means fucking handouts, it means countries do that. So I know over in Eastern Europe, there's a lot of money laundering going on, if you know what I'm saying, because you look and go, well, if you made this movie for $1 million and that includes everybody's salary and you get part of the residuals, well, no wonder he's going to do 2 or 3 straight to DVDs. Because Scott Adkins, the thing is I think he's too good of an asset to be in these marginal type films because it's not horrible, but it's not good. Even Chuck Norris that we've said might have started off where you're like, yeah, on some of them, whether you agree with the whole thing he had, the way he did his films, building up to one big fight and, less violence except for the last scene. I still think, as much as I like Scott Adkins, he's underutilized. And I hate to say it because he's the hardest working guy in karate business today. Yes, you've got big guys. Jackie Chan, he's past his prime. He doesn't do that much. He's practically retired. Donnie Yen, I know we've done some of his films, and they're pretty damn good. He's getting up there. He's around 60. He still does stuff.
Yeah.
So you've got Scott Adkins. Who else do you have after it? Nobody. So
Scott,
he's got to. There's got to be something here. I'm putting it on his shoulders, which isn't fair.
Watching Scott Adkins in 2009 in this movie, how ripped, shredded he is, and everything, and his martial arts, actually doing the stunts himself. Literally, I kept thinking like, why did they get Christian Bale for a Batman? Why did they just get Scott Adkins? Scott Adkins actually looks like Batman, and I'm sure if he put some more weight on, he'd be more robust.
I think he got up to about 200, 210 for one of those Undisputed Boykas or whatever, because he's around 170, 180 walk, he's about 5'10".
My other thing is just give him more like more marine stuff. Like if John Cena could do 12 rounds, why can't this guy do some military stuff like that? Give it like reboot the what was it, American Ninja? You could have done with Scott Adkins. You don't need the problem with Scott Adkins that they kept trying to introduce him with other actors from other movies. Like you had him with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren. And then
also
Expendables 2 is just like, and he just got outshadowed by them. Like he was like as bad as those movies were, he, like I said, he did not stand out against them, and that's kind of like putting anybody next to Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris just steals the scene.
I will say this, and I am not joking when I say it because I've thought about this long and hard. I'm not the biggest proponent of gun action, all that, and the gun fu that we see in John Wick is its own elite level, and that's the gold standard for that stuff, right?
That's it. Like I said, like the John Wick stuff. There is no other American movie kind of like that.
No, and that's more Hong Kong based. We know that's his love affair.
Yeah,
but I keep going back to I swear to God, I'm being dead serious when I say, by far the most charisma and the best role that Scott Adkins ever had was Killa as the card dealer in the whole like 10-15 minute scene in John Wick where he goes up there with nobody and is that the blind guy's character, is that Donnie Yen also, and he's dealing cards and he gets in a fight and gets his ass beat by John Wick in the club with the waterfall. So that's badass. I thought, holy shit, you could right now go do something like a small little 6 or 8 episode martial arts show and show the rise of this Killa character like they're doing all these spin-offs, because all I know is everyone kept talking about, man, that kind of scene kind of popped. Yes, there's beautiful scenes in there and all that, but I'm going to ask you this straight, and I'm not knocking it at all, and obviously I think she's a good-looking woman, but did anybody really care or want to see Ana de Armas in that spin-off acting like she's just fucking awesome?
I did actually. How
was it?
I did not watch it yet.
Okay.
It's on my list to go. Just to go, I want to watch the other one with it's just supposed to be the sequel to that, to The Professional. I forgot what it's called. Columbia.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Colombiana or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, those look interesting. And Anna Diamas looks pretty good. I said you can make any actress. With a good script, good supporting cast, you can actually make them look good. Obviously, if they're a bad actor, though, if you don't like them, doesn't matter what you put them in, you're not gonna like them. And Scott Adkins is one of those characters that I've tried to watch him other movies, and I just he's been in. I think was it In Hell? I think with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Maybe.
Yeah, that was one where his wife gets killed. They team up. And so those two go. Yeah. So and like I said, Scott Adkins in this, I've never taken him as a serious actor and stuff. So seeing him in this, honestly, it's nice to see that he can do the moves. It's just I wish he had a little bit of better budget for this movie. It would have been so much better. But like I said, it had a $10 million budget, but the box office return on it was $194,000.
Yeah, that means they didn't show it. They showed it enough just so they could say it got released. That's it, for whatever reason.
And it's from Lionsgate.
Yeah, and
yeah,
you pointed out some of the stage scenes where they go to fight are awful with the CGI back, and they are. Well, they're just no good.
Here's my biggest thing with this whole entire movie. Remember they said, "Oh, we can't let anybody have this armor. We got to protect it." After so the big fight scene, he stabs the bad guy through the sword and stuff, and then because the other girl was poisoned, because they emphasize every ninja.
She did get tranked there with the dog. Yeah. I like that. That was cool. We don't see that.
She's laying there and he's like, and then he remembers the old man's words "Oh, man, it's a healer as well as a killer." The sword. He's like, "Oh, there's a whole thing in there." He opens it up, and then there's a little vial, and it's magical cure, and it's like she's alive. So here's the thing, though. He carries her. The other bad guy's still alive, and he's holding her. He leaves a fucking sword and all the other weapons that are supposed to be legendary weapons.
Yes.
On the ground, disrespects them, and leaves them there. Yes. Cops show up. It's just the whole point is you're supposed to respect the weapons, not just discard them. The old man's probably like, "You son of a bitch." At least the bad guy would have respected him more.
John Cena is not horrible, but he's not good. The Rock's not that good, but he's not that bad. The problem I think that happens a lot with these people, and forget their physiques. I wish, back in the day, you could take somebody we would say a Humphrey Bogart, say, you're probably never going to be a romantic lead. Not saying people can't surprise you, but generally studios knew when they saw somebody, this is how you'd be accepted, and they would tailor scripts and put them to you. Right now, I think Hollywood and everybody just says, we can make anybody do anything we want because we're that fucking good. And if you don't like it, we'll just say you're stupid. You don't know better. It's really a joke. And again, I give Anna de Armas all the credit in the world for learning her own stunts, learning the gun parts to it, and it looks realistic. But isn't that kind of ruining the whole idea that everybody can do fucking everything? I mean, honestly. And so when I see Scott Adkins, I saw a movie that came out this year. I think it was called Diablo. Some really good fucking fights in there, bro. Here's the thing, really nice stuff. But the writing and story made me go, eh.
Here's the thing: it's called acting. If they make you believe that they actually are that part, then they succeeded.
I say this with all love and respect because I listen to Scott Adkins' podcasts every now and then. I find him in interviews to be a really nice guy, a humble guy who gets it. It's hard to say that about a lot of people, I think. My hope is that his best movie is still in front of him. Even though he's about 48, 50 years old, he still has plenty of time to do a bunch, and he's still very active, and he does all what he wants. And he did have a great fight scene with Amy from
Amy Johnson.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of interesting. But there's got to be something that can utilize him better, where somebody can sit there and go, I know how to make you look like 100%, make you shine. Nobody's given them that chance yet, or nobody knows how to do it yet because I haven't seen it.
So the story was really weak sauce in this, but the actual fighting was actually good in this.
Excellent.
The training.
Yes.
They first introduced him. He is basically got his shirt off. You can see his 14 pack.
Yeah.
Because he's completely ripped. Obviously, he must have been they call it sweat training, where they don't drink as much. holding out the liquid because for how ripped he was
back in the day.
yeah,
and it's very bad for you, but it makes the show.
So he looked, like I said, that's kind of like the kid from High School Musical. You saw that dude, how in Baywatch, how ripped he was and stuff,
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So they show him, and when they have to do the fight and kick stuff, it actually looks legit real and stuff. It's not on wires and all this stuff. So, and he's fighting these two are fighting in here, like they actually looks really good. Now I don't know if the other guy had a stunt double. The other guy has been in some other movies too. I'm talking about Tsuyoshi, Ihara. He actually apparently he's a martial artist. Okay.
Yeah.
He's of Korean descent. Mika Hijii, that she plays the love interest. She's known if you have never watched the Garo series or Gero over in Japan. That's where she's been known for that. And then and from the western part of the world is for this movie and the sequel to this. But he said overall, this movie is rated 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb for a good reason, because, like I said, the crappy, low effort introduction. This kind of like, you know what it reminded me of? You ever watched the original Ninja Turtles, the live action movie, 1990?
No. The movie.
When they do the fight scenes with the Foot Clan and the turtles, how fake it looked.
Yeah.
In the background. That's how it looked here. They even called out, we're gonna fight in this construction zone area. This street corner here, and then everybody starts coming up, everybody starts shooting guns, and I'm thinking this, is there no one around here to report gunfire, and stuff? And then the really cool thing what the peak moment in here is when they're on the subway train.
Yes, the subway fight's excellent.
And both him and the girl are both fighting against the round waves of different guys fighting them. She's getting her ass kicked, but she still holds her own. But he notices that she's out, that she's starting to slip. They're ganging up her, so he comes around and he jumps and kicks, doing his flips on the bars, kick guys. One guy gets kicked out of the subway train. And he's like, I'm like, he's dead. And then the train hits him.
And
he's like,
CGI train coming. That's kind of hokey.
But you know what? I still pop for that. I laughed my ass off. I was like,
but do you want me to laugh at this? Or do you want me to go, man, this guy's a badass?
I don't know, but I was like, I guess he caught that train. It's like, gotta train the catch. No. Like I said, it was great. Like I said, that for that part and all. But it was just like, the rest of the story was kind of very bleak, and now they could have turned this. Honestly, this movie, and you can tell by the background, this is actually off the DVD cover and stuff. This kind of looks like you're getting like a Nightman TV series. Remember that? And the WB Nightman, the red glowing eye. This feels like I'm getting a superhero ninja TV series. This is the pilot. This whole movie felt like that. This could be working for a TV series, and they would have been in Japan. But for whatever reason, it is in Hollywood, and it is with Scott Adkins. Scott Adkins, so I've always said, is like the serious version of Jason David Frank. He was the guy who played the Green Ranger, Tommy, on Car Rangers. R.I.P. to the guy. Had his own demons. But anyway, like I said, this had a better budget, better villain. Man, if you would, I want Scott Adkins teaming up with Korean Chuck Norris. Okay,
imagine if Korean Chuck Norris was a Korean Terminator that could not be defeated, and then you had somebody that just had to delay him a little bit. That would be Scott Adkins.
Put Scott Adkins in the Roundup, one of the Roundup sequels, and have him be the American in there, trying to get the British guy, and then those two have to be forced to team up.
And I mean this with respect. You and I sometimes talk briefly offline about wrestling, and I'm very frustrated with the current state of it because I think it's horrible. It sucks. I think everybody's too flippity floppity.
I love flippity floppy.
I understand you
because the reason I like it. I'll just quickly say the reason I like it is because I've had 30, 40 years plus of the other stuff.
I get it, and so the newness is great, but if you can't put it together in a package that tells a story, it doesn't matter. So if someone's got 20 finisher moves that they bounce out of and then one thing gets them, it's
well, if you're more about story and less about wrestling, who cares about that then?
Well, then you should love this movie because the point I was going to make is this is basically like AEW where he overdoes it on the volume of stuff. He's got great choices like the scene with the girl with the hitman in the small apartment's really good. The rooftop one could have been cool, but the CGI sucked. The subway was phenomenal, but it's like too much of it. It's like set it up and go for it, so when it comes out, it's like a release. I feel like he sets up these scenes to show you that he can do every single martial arts punch in every single style. And oh, by the way, if you don't know that he can't do a spinning 360 720 kick and take out two guys, not only are you going to see it once in the movie as opposed to the finishing move, you're going to see it 17 times. It ruins it.
So when he runs off the rooftop of the cop precinct, and when he drops the billboard and then it breaks, that kind of felt like I was watching Jean-Claude Van Damme film. Like I said, these feel like the early 90s Jean-Claude Van Damme films, Now, if he would have been like dodging people trying to hit him, they could have done it with Jackie Chan style, but I would have been better if the cops would have seen him and then tried to shooting at him and he's dodging the bullets and then maybe he's injured, he has to sew himself up, he's got a bullet wound, whatever. Like that would have been great with that, but I said, they didn't really know what they're doing. This kind of felt like American Ninja without the humor, and it just felt like if Judikov was just serious the whole entire time.
You mentioned the weapons in this fight scenes, right?
Yeah.
The one thing that I went, holy fuck, you don't know how good this is watching it. And I'm being serious when I say this is the very beginning when they're starting to train and they, what is it? You specialize in the weapon. Well, here, the pit poster, he's got his nunchucks, right? When he's sitting there by himself, just kind of like practice him a little bit, and you see how good he is in it. Show me that shit. Give me more of something like that where, remind me of The Perfect Weapon, right? With Jeff Speakman, where he's doing his Kempo stuff there at the beginning during all those deliberate things.
So when I want him doing a scene of him actually replacing the ninjas, making new ones, something like that, because remember, this is legendary armor. He's not supposed to use it. It's the only place he's supposed to protect it, keep it from other people. So when he's throwing all the ninja stars at people, I'm like, there's got to be a limited amount that's probably in that box, and how old they are, and they're probably worth more than anything else on the market.
They're worth more in the market than they are for their utility.
yeah. So I'm like, I'd be like, go back to each guy. Oh, I need this back. I'm like, I ran out of 10. I only have 10 of them, man. And he could, so, yeah.
The movies are all the same. You're 100% right.
Yeah, and like I said, this felt like a made-for-TV movie.
It's not bad.
No, I'm not saying it's bad though. I'm saying it's like I said, it's something I knew exactly going into it. I've never watched a Scott Adkins movie, but I had a feeling it was going to be no different than watching an Adrian Brody movie.
Not a real Terminator movie.
Like I said, I'm this is a C-level movie. Going into it, I knew it, and just like but I was more interested. Like, hey, I was like, are they gonna have the girl fighting with them? And that was a very pleasantly plus side. Is the girl that he likes, the daughter of the
Sensei's daughter.
Sensei's daughter, and she was learning how to fight. We get to see her with the crutch scene, and said the whole subway scene. She takes the guy's crutches, and then she uses it, and she does a little pose, and then she fights guys, hitting them with it, breaks the guy's arm. He actually ends up killing a guy and just like chops in the neck, and the guy's laying there, and he's kind of staring there. And I'm thinking like, she's like, oh shit, good guy killed someone. You're not supposed to kill people, but he was starting to kill people. He was killing people in this. Yeah. I was kind of surprised about that. And then you got the stupid cop. That was probably the weakest part of the whole entire movie was the cop. Yeah, whatever. And I'm like, and then the guy, the ninja cuts the power, and it's like, oh shit, here comes. It's like they're trying to take a page out of Terminator.
There's something about these industrial ninjas that like just appear, and so instead of being like your SEAL Team 6, it's like Ninja Team 6 or something. They got some of the Spec Ops stuff and everything, right? I just kind of popped at that a little bit. I don't know why.
Like I said, but the bad guy had a really cool ninja suit, and so does he. Like I said, the way it was, the production design and everything, I felt like I was watching freaking CW Arrow.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I'm like, everything has to be leather.
I'm willing to check out more of his movies. I have seen several, I think I've seen a lot more than you have, but he still has a shit ton that I haven't. It's just that's the feeling I get, and I haven't felt one where I went, okay, I get this one. I've seen him where he's like playing different kinds of guys with accents and different looks and thugs and stuff like that. And somehow I go, you're kind of a little too wholesome looking to kind of pull that off, and that's not a negative. It's it sounds like we're shitting on him, but really I'm frustrated because I think I'm not saying him because he does the choreography and the fighting and he knows all this stuff and he knows how to put together a movie. He literally is like a self-contained unit. So I think he does a lot of this on his own, even writing and directing. So I applaud him for all that. I just wish there was somebody that could pull him off to the side and say, you know what, let me produce your next album like a Quincy Jones. Michael, you're great. You're talented. Prince, you're great. Let me produce it. Give me one. I know what's going to work. Some people just have that. I wish there was somebody that could do that for Scott Adkins, because I think he'd be a fucking all-timer. And really, his volume and his output's tremendous. It really is.
So what's crazy about this? This New Image is a production company. They also put out Ninja Assassin. You remember that movie?
Which one was that one? That sounds familiar.
They came out in 2009, and it has Sho Kasagi in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it stars this guy named Rain, and basically, he's basically a delusional assassin from modern day ninja clan looking for retribution against his former mentor, played by Sho Kasagi. It features Naomi Harris, Ben Miles, and Ricky. And whatever.
I think that one was considered a lot better. I don't remember.
Yeah,
maybe because of Sho Kasagi. Maybe
it was produced by the Wachowski sisters, step brothers, Legendary Pickers, and And honestly, that's one we need to review when we're doing that. That one actually had a $30 million budget and doubled it. Somebody in the review said like, "Oh, this movie was like the Ninja was miles better than Ninja Assassin." I was like, "Are you kidding me? Did you watch the same movies I did? Like, I still have Scott Adkins in this movie, but it's like this felt like I said, I would rather if they would have been more serious and actually had a bigger budget than 10 million.
Yeah.
Because the other one had 30 million. They had 30 million for the Ninja Assassin with a nobody. Sho Kasagi probably took all. Do you know what it was? It was a $10 million budget and 20 million went to Sho Kasagi.
Well, budgets usually include salaries, I believe.
Yeah. So overall, like I said, this was okay. It was an okay movie. It's on Tubi. It's free to watch. It's also on Plex as well. Mm-hmm. The sequel's on there as well. Came out in 2013. Looking forward to following it up there and watching that, reviewing that. But I just figured, like, we got to do a Scott Adkins movie. The only one we've ever talked about was John Wick 4 that he was in, or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in a fat suit, and So.
Oh, it's tremendous. The best performance of that movie. That's the best scene of the whole film.
But it just summarizes his whole entire career, him in that fat suit. That's like a joke.
You can have 20 albums come out, but people remember for that Run song, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it hit hard and it hit well. So there's something there with him. That's the most natural rather than forced Scott Adkins felt to me.
Well, that's like Eminem. He's known for the 8 Mile movie song that he did, even though he's done other songs, too.
Yeah, but, that's how it goes, right?
Yep.
Oh man. All right, man. It was good checking out Scott Adkins. I'm sure we're going to do plenty more of him, just like we did with Amy Johnson. We like checking out all of these guys because we do love this stuff. So, interesting watch, interesting take. We'll see if we can, as we get through a few more Scott Adkins films, see if there's anything there. Maybe we just missed something or picked the wrong film. I don't know yet, but we'll find out here on the Extreme Movie Show.
This Tuesday, we're doing Tulsa King, episode 2, new season.
Correctamundo, sir. Until then, good night now.
Later, guys. Drink your moonshine, otherwise Robert Patrick will kill you.
Hey, yo.